Hey there, it's Sara, and I'm coming at you with a shorty episode. And today I'm going to be talking all about rediscovering your authentic self after you quit drinking. When I first quit drinking, I started thinking, who am I without alcohol? And even a little bit before I started my alcohol-free journey, I thought that if I quit drinking, what will even be left? What will I like to do without drinking? Will I even be funny without drinking? All of those thoughts were in me, and it was really overwhelming to think, who am I without alcohol? So if you're finding yourself in a similar situation, don't worry, you're not alone. And I have some great tips and strategies for you today to help you start getting reconnected with your true and authentic self without alcohol. This is one of my favorite topics to talk about with people because it's one of the coolest gifts of being alcohol free. You get to start getting to know yourself on such a deeper level than you ever did as a drinker. At least that's what happened for me. I started to be like, oh my gosh, I really know my likes and dislikes. And I'm really starting to understand what makes me tick, what makes me the person that I am. And it has been such a cool process. And especially because when I quit drinking, my kids were 8 years old. I want to say they might have just been ready to turn 8 years old. So my twins were at an age where I was really starting to be able to lessen my reins on them. They were starting to create more independence already, be able to do things like, tie their own shoes, buckle themselves into a car. And I thought, oh gosh, my main role now doesn't have to be their caregiver. Obviously, I'm still their caregiver, but it was a time where I was able to really start thinking, well, who am I besides being a mom, besides being a drinker, and besides being a music teacher? Like, if I'm not those things, what am I? What does it look like when I'm just Sara? And I talk to a lot of women and they struggle in this area because you do get so wrapped up in your caregiver role. So it's a really cool thing when you quit drinking because you can get so in touch with it. And I think you're just a little step ahead of your drinking self in this way. Quitting drinking isn't just about removing the alcohol, it's about discovering the real you. You may feel lost at first in your alcohol-free journey because you used alcohol to mask emotions, you used it for your hobby, for what you did for fun, and now you're thinking, well, what do I do? That's what we're going to tackle today. Before I dive all the way into today's topic, I want to invite you to a really cool event that will be happening in the final week of April. Starting on April 25th, I am going to lead my first ever No More Wasted Weekend challenge. I'm going to help you go through an alcohol-free weekend. I know this is where so many people struggle when it comes to being alcohol-free. How will I even manage the weekends? Well, what if I could walk hand in hand with you through your first alcohol-free weekend so it doesn't have to feel as scary? This event is totally free and you can join it by heading to the link in the show notes. During this alcohol-free weekend together, I'll be checking in with you in our private community, even be going live 2 times in the community to help answer any of your questions, and then to help you figure out what's next after that first alcohol-free weekend. I'm so excited to be a part of your first alcohol-free weekend as you experience how amazing a hangover-free and alcohol-free weekend can be. Be sure to check out the link in the show notes and get signed up today so you're ready to start with us on April 25th. All right, so before we can start working on discovering our authentic self, I want to talk all about why alcohol numbs our authentic self. This is something that I came to realize the farther I went on my alcohol-free journey. I felt like alcohol was something that made me more fun, made me more exciting, but it turned out that it actually numbed all the best parts of me. Alcohol disconnects you from your true self. It numbs your emotions, and that makes it harder for you to understand what you really enjoy and how you really feel about certain things. And drinking becomes the automatic response to stress or to boredom, and then it makes it so we're really unable to get to the root of the situation. Alcohol also makes it so you start to have your real personality versus your drinking personality. I always saw my drinking self as this separate part of me, but the more I continued to drink and it became my norm, the more I just started to get clouded with my drinking self is my real self. My drinking self made me feel like I was the life of the party. I was super fun. And when I took that away, I started thinking, well, who am I without that? And are people actually even going to like me without it? And am I going to like myself without alcohol? Drinking may also cloud your authentic self because you're using it as a way of avoidance. You use it as a way to escape stress or self-doubt or manage social anxiety. And when that's stripped away, all of a sudden you're thinking, how do I deal with these things? How do I actually even respond to these as my authentic self? I know it can feel really scary, but when you actually start to manage these emotions without alcohol, that's where the magic happens, because you start to understand more deeply who you are and how you respond to certain situations. And knowing that is such a gift. So how do you actually start reconnecting with your authentic self? I think it's this really big question, right? When people say, who are you really? You start thinking like, I don't know. That's a really loaded question. So I'm actually going to give you 4 ways you can start uncovering your authentic self. Let's dive in. Number 1, I want you to get curious about yourself again. You have this chance to start discovering new passions and new hobbies, and that can feel really overwhelming. So what I want you to first do is start thinking about, what did you used to enjoy as a kid? What were the things you really loved doing? The things that made you feel so happy when you were a kid? And then figure out how you can incorporate those things back into your life now as an adult. I think we forget that we can still have a sense of play in our adulthood. Maybe it'll look a little different, but you can still get out there and enjoy life in a playful way and do things that really light you up. So think back to those activities. For me, I realized I loved singing. It's what I went to college to do, right? I was like, I'm going to be a music teacher. I got my degree in music education and my focus was on voice. So I have always loved singing. I've been a member of a choir since 6th grade until there was that time where my drinking got so heavy. And then when we moved, I realized I need to meet some people. I need to connect with some people. What can I do? And I thought, I can sing. There's always community choirs. I found one in my area, and it's been one of the coolest things because each week I get to go and sing and explore this part of me that feels playful and helps me re-engage with my emotions, the way the lyrics act with the music. It's a very, very cool gift that I get to give myself, and it has really helped me get back in touch with my authentic self. So I want you to think about this. What activities did you participate in high school? Can you do some of those things now? The thing is, you probably can. And with the power of Google, you can look up how to join a softball team or how to join an adult swim team or how to join a choir or how to join a band. You can find all these things by just a simple Google search. And then the next step is signing up and participating, and you're going to be in touch with yourself again. I also want you to try new things. Think about different art projects you could engage in. Maybe you want to start playing an instrument, things that you've always wanted to try, but you just didn't do. Start doing those things now and then just figure out, do I like this or do I not? And that's one of the keys too. I want you to know that it is okay to not like things, and that's just you truly rediscovering yourself. Next, I want you to start realizing what feels good without alcohol. Pay attention to the small moments that bring you joy or peace. Maybe it's sipping on your morning coffee. Maybe it's engaging in a deep conversation with one of your friends or even texting a friend, learning something new, or going out on long walks or doing other kind of movements like yoga or dance. What feels good? What brings you joy and peace? And I also want you to start noticing the little moments in your day too. The more you start searching for these moments, the more you're going to start seeing these moments. And then you can realize this is a part of who I am. This is something that really makes me tick. It makes me me. The more you tune into what genuinely makes you feel good, the more you tune into your true identity in your alcohol-free life. Third, I want you to start rebuilding your inner voice. Alcohol drowns out your intuition, that feeling that tells you what you should do, what choices you should make. That has been very drowned out by drinking. I know for me, it took me a while to trust my gut, as they say. It took me that moment to be like, should I really do this thing? Or is this just an impulsive thought? Ways you can get more in touch with your inner voice is through journaling. Sit down and really free write on certain topics like, what do I enjoy doing? What makes me feel good? What were some of my favorite activities to do as a child? Think about those things, free write on those topics, and all of a sudden different ideas will start to flow out of you. Meditation is also a great way for you to start getting to know your inner voice. When you are meditating, the only voice you hear during that time may be the person that's doing the guided meditation if that's what you like to do, which is what I like to do. But also you start to be in touch with what is actually happening in your brain. I don't know how many times I'm meditating and thoughts pop in and out, and I'll be like, that's my inner voice talking to me. That's my inner voice saying, do this thing. So do those visualization exercises where you picture yourself 1 year from now or 30 days from now. What does it look like? What are you doing? And trust your inner voice that it's guiding you to the correct things. Then you can start living a life where you're bringing about the activities that get you closer to those things that you're envisioning. And really start to trust that your inner voice has your best interests in mind. I know it can feel really overwhelming, and I'm not telling you to take action on big life changes early on in your alcohol-free journey, but I want you to explore them, okay? I did quit my teaching job in the first year of my sobriety, but it is something that I had planned on doing for a number of years. I knew that this time was going to come. My husband and I were already planning on moving and taking on our own house build, so it was a big move for me, and I do believe that being alcohol-free really helped me trust that it was all going to work out and trust my inner voice that was telling me to go for it. But I never want people to think, oh, when I quit drinking, I should also just quit my job, unless it's something that you've been planning on doing and you've already started laying some groundwork to make that something you can do. But in the beginning, start trusting your inner voice on those smaller things, and then you're going to start to trust your inner voice more and more. It'll help you navigate those small situations. Then you can graduate to maybe those medium situations. And then you can graduate to trusting that inner voice on those bigger situations on your life. Number 4, let go of the idea of who you used to be. You are allowed to change, and you might not love the same things that you loved in your drinking life. A lot of things have shifted for me. Some of my friends changed, things that I like to do changed, places that I like to hang out changed. I've always been a homebody, but I am really a homebody now. It's actually something that I have to work on in my alcohol-free journey and put myself out there and make sure that I actually am socializing with other people, because I can become such an introvert. But this is something now that I can see, like, oh, it actually does feel good to me when I hang out with people. And when I was drinking, hanging out with people felt more like an excuse to drink, if that makes sense. So that shifted for me. Like, why do I hang out with people? What kind of people do I want to hang out with to enrich my life, to make me feel really good about myself? Things like that changed. I think a lot more about what I'm going to do with my time. And you may be worried that you're going to become a totally different person without alcohol. But one thing I realized for me is that I wasn't becoming somebody different. I was actually just becoming more me. I was really stepping into my true and authentic self. So some friendships and routines and interests may shift and may change, but I don't want you to look at that as a negative thing. Instead, I want you to look at it as an opportunity for growth. I hope that these ideas and strategies help you start reconnecting to your true and authentic self. And I want you to remember, you're not lost on this alcohol-free journey. Instead, you're just getting to know yourself again. I want you to try at least one new thing this week that you wouldn't have done as a drinker. Maybe it's a new routine. Maybe it's engaging in a new social activity. Try it out and leave me a comment on Spotify or YouTube of what you tried and how you liked it. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, you can also leave it as a review. I know this journey of rediscovering your authentic self can feel scary, but I want you to know that who you are underneath it all is totally worth discovering. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, be sure to rate and review and share it with a friend. And if you haven't already, be sure to sign up for the free No More Wasted Weekends challenge that will be happening starting April 25th. I cannot wait to go through an alcohol-free weekend with you. Even if you've been on your alcohol-free journey already and you want some extra encouragement, hop in. It's going to be a really cool experience, and the more, the merrier. All right. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll be in your ear in the next episode.